She married a homeless man to save the family business. But who knew that this homeless man would turn out to be a real diamond for her? The sun was setting over the city as Anna walked briskly through the park, her thoughts racing. Anna Whitmore wasn't just any woman. She was the heiress to the Whitmore business empire, a legacy built from the ground up by her father, Richard Whitmore. Known for his strategic mind and fair leadership, Richard had always envisioned Anna taking over one day. But that vision was shattered when Richard died unexpectedly just weeks ago, leaving behind not just a grieving daughter, but a crumbling company. As board members questioned Anna's ability to lead, her father's closest allies grew restless and rivals smelled blood in the water. Anna felt the pressure mounting, and it was suffocating. Their message was clear. To prove her capability, she needed stability, a respectable husband to solidify her image as a responsible heiress. Her stilettos clicked against the cobblestones as she made her way past the fountain. That's when she saw him, a man hunched on a bench, his hair unkempt, his clothes worn but oddly neat. He was sketching something on a tattered piece of paper, completely absorbed. Curiosity piqued. She moved closer, noticing his striking features beneath the grime. High cheekbones, piercing green eyes, and a jawline that hinted at once being well-groomed. The paper he was sketching on had complex diagrams, charts, and business models that looked strangely familiar. Without thinking, Anna approached him. "Do you always sketch in the park?" The man looked up, startled but guarded. "It's quiet here. No one bothers me." Anna hesitated, not sure why she felt compelled to keep talking. "You look out of place, like you shouldn't be here." He gave a bitter laugh. "Funny, I used to think that too." She didn't know what possessed her to say it, but the words tumbled out before she could stop them. "I need a husband." He raised an eyebrow, clearly thinking she was crazy. "What?" She took a deep breath, trying to sound businesslike despite the absurdity of her proposal. "It's a long story, but I need to prove to the board of my father's company that I'm stable enough to lead. And that means being married. You look like you could use a change of fortune." He stared at her, searching her face for a hint of a joke. "You're offering me a marriage contract?" "Yes. I'll pay you. You'll have a place to stay, food, and a monthly allowance. Just for a few months, until I secure the company." He narrowed his eyes, clearly skeptical. "What's your name?" "Anna." "Anna Whitmore." Something flickered in his gaze. Recognition? He didn't say anything, just looked down at his sketch. "What's yours?" she prompted. He hesitated. "Frederick." "Frederick what?" A shadow crossed his face. "Just Frederick." For a long moment, they just looked at each other, the absurdity of the situation settling in. Finally, Frederick sighed. "You're serious about this?" "Yes, completely." He rubbed his temple, looking like he might be reconsidering his entire existence. "Fine, I'll do it, but I'm not pretending to be some rich socialite." Anna couldn't help but smile. "That's not what I need. Just be yourself, but maybe with a shower and a suit." Frederick gave a half smirk, and for a brief moment, Anna thought he might actually be handsome under all the grime. She didn't know it then, but that decision, born out of desperation and a touch of madness, would change both their lives forever. The next morning, Anna waited anxiously in her villa's expansive living room, glancing at the grand clock on the wall. She wasn't sure what she expected when she invited a homeless man into her life, but doubt was already creeping in. Had she made a reckless mistake? Just as she was about to call it off, the doorbell rang. Her housekeeper, Marjorie, opened the door, and there he was, cleaned up and almost unrecognizable. Frederick stood in the doorway, wearing a freshly pressed suit that fit his tall, lean frame surprisingly well. His hair was trimmed, and his face clean-shaven, revealing sharp features and intense green eyes that seemed more focused now. Anna couldn't help but stare. He looked like a completely different person, a man who could easily pass for a businessman rather than someone she had found on a park bench. "Nice place," Frederick muttered, glancing around the spacious, tastefully decorated room. Anna cleared her throat. "You clean up well." He gave a faint smirk. "You said something about a contract?" They sat down at the marble dining table, and Anna laid out the paperwork. "It's straightforward. We'll be legally married for 6 months. You'll live here, attend a few public events with me, and help project stability to the board. You'll receive a monthly allowance, and when it's over, you'll have enough money to start fresh. Frederick glanced at the document, skimming the clauses. No, personal obligations. Anna felt her cheeks flush. No, this is purely business. You help me, I help you. He signed without hesitation. Done. Marjorie appeared with coffee, her eyebrows raised at the odd pairing. As she left, Frederick leaned back, his posture finally relaxed. Why me? You could have chosen anyone, someone respectable. Anna hesitated, unsure how to explain it. You looked different, like you didn't belong on the streets. I don't know why, but I thought I could trust you. Frederick's eyes softened for a moment, then turned guarded again. People aren't usually that trusting. You might regret it. She forced a smile. Well, it's too late now. We have a meeting with the board tomorrow, so I'll need to brief you on a few things. That night, as they prepared to sleep, Anna offered Frederick the guest room. He didn't complain, merely nodded and disappeared into the hallway. In her own room, Anna couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to him than he let on. She remembered the sketches, intricate business models and strategies, as if his mind couldn't help but think in terms of profit and efficiency. Before she could dwell on it further, her phone buzzed. It was one of the board members, Mr. Harlan, known for his skepticism. Anna, the board is expecting some answers tomorrow. Your father's management style was traditional. We're not sure you can fill his shoes. She bit back her frustration. I understand, Mr. Harlan. I'll introduce my husband tomorrow. He's been helping me stabilize things. There was a pause. A husband? That's unexpected. We'll see how he fits into the picture. As the call ended, Anna sighed, anxiety settling in. Was Frederick really the right choice? The next morning, they prepared for the meeting. Frederick appeared in the kitchen, already dressed, looking more composed than Anna expected. You're taking this seriously, she remarked. He shrugged. You're paying me. Might as well put in some effort. On the way to the boardroom, Frederick stayed quiet, but his gaze never stopped moving, taking in the building's layout, the staff interactions, and the way people greeted Anna. It was as if he was mentally mapping everything. Inside the boardroom, Anna introduced Frederick, who gave a polite nod, his expression neutral but confident. The board members exchanged glances, clearly not expecting someone who looked so polished. Mr. Harlan was the first to speak. Mr. Frederick, what's your experience with business? Frederick didn't hesitate. I've been around enough ventures to know the basics, but I'm more interested in how this company plans to stay relevant. Your current strategy seems outdated, focused too much on old markets without tapping into emerging trends. The room fell silent, and Anna felt panic rise. Had he just insulted them? But to her surprise, one of the younger board members nodded thoughtfully. He's not wrong. We've been talking about modernizing for months. Frederick continued, his tone calm. If you want stability, focus on sustainable innovation, not just legacy practices. The market doesn't wait for sentimentality. The older members looked taken aback, but the younger ones seemed intrigued. Anna glanced at Frederick, impressed despite herself. He wasn't just making vague comments. He was analyzing their strategy as if he had been studying it for years. When the meeting ended, Mr. Harlan approached Anna. Your husband, he has an unusual perspective. Maybe that's what we need, a fresh outlook. As they left the building, Anna couldn't help but ask, how did you know to say that? Frederick gave a small shrug. Just common sense. Business doesn't care about tradition. It cares about survival. Anna couldn't suppress a smile. Maybe Frederick wasn't just a random choice after all. That evening, back at the villa, they shared a quiet dinner. For the first time, Anna felt a glimmer of hope, not just for the company, but for this odd arrangement that was beginning to feel a little less absurd. Frederick caught her looking and raised an eyebrow. What? She shook her head. Nothing. Just, you're not what I expected. He smirked. You're not exactly what I expected either. They sat in comfortable silence, both realizing that maybe, just maybe, this arrangement wasn't just about convenience. It was about finding something neither of them knew they needed. The next few weeks passed in a blur of meetings, strategy sessions, and formal dinners where Anna and Frederick appeared as the perfect couple. Despite the strange circumstances that brought them together, They managed to maintain the illusion convincingly. Anna couldn't help but notice how effortlessly Frederick adapted to high society life. His calm demeanor, sharp observations, and ability to blend into conversations made it seem as if he had always belonged. Even the skeptical board members, including Mr. Harlan, began to warm up to him. One evening, after yet another business dinner, Anna and Frederick sat on the patio of the villa, overlooking the city lights. Frederick loosened his tie, looking more at ease than usual. "You handled Mr. Harlan pretty well today," Anna remarked, sipping her wine. Frederick gave a faint smile. He's like every other stubborn businessman. Thinks the world should bend to his traditions. Sometimes they just need to hear that change is inevitable. Anna couldn't help but be impressed. "You seem to know a lot about business for someone who's been living on the streets." Frederick didn't answer right away, his gaze distant. "I wasn't always on the streets," he said quietly. "There was a time when I had a place in that world." Anna hesitated, sensing the pain behind his words. "What happened?" He looked at her, eyes hardening. "Trusting the wrong people. I lost everything because I believed in someone who only wanted to take advantage. You'd be surprised how fast success can disappear." Anna didn't push him further, realizing that his past was a wound still too raw to discuss. The next morning, Anna had a critical board meeting about revitalizing the company's marketing strategy. As she flipped through notes in the study, Frederick wandered in, looking curious. "Need help?" he asked, glancing at the chaotic spread of papers. Anna sighed. "The board wants to focus on reviving our classic product line, but I feel like it's a backward move. We need something fresh." Frederick studied the notes for a moment. "They're thinking too much about legacy. You don't revive a brand by repeating the past. You evolve it. Maybe focus on integrating something modern into the classic line. Use nostalgia as a marketing angle, but make the product feel new." Anna blinked, processing his words. "That's actually brilliant." She hurriedly typed out a new proposal based on his suggestion, refining the concept with his input. The more they discussed it, the clearer it became that Frederick wasn't just guessing. He was strategizing with the precision of someone who understood the market deeply. During the meeting, Anna presented the revised plan confidently. The younger board members were immediately on board, while the older ones took some convincing. Eventually, even Mr. Harlan nodded in reluctant approval. As they left the meeting, Anna whispered to Frederick, "You really know how to turn a room around." He shrugged. "Sometimes people just need to hear things differently. You didn't sound like you were repeating your father's ideas. You sounded like a leader with a vision." That evening, as they sat at the dining table, Anna couldn't hold back her curiosity any longer. "Frederick, how do you know so much about business? I mean, you practically saved that meeting today." Frederick hesitated, his fingers tracing the rim of his glass. "I told you before, I wasn't always on the streets. I used to run a company, a shipping and logistics firm. It was small at first, just a port business. We made efficient shipping routes, cut costs for major suppliers. Things were good, until they weren't." "What happened?" Frederick's jaw tightened. "A group of criminals wanted to use my business to move illegal goods. I refused. They started sabotaging shipments, intimidating clients. Eventually, I lost contracts, credibility, and finally the business itself. One of my closest partners turned out to be their inside man. He framed me for fraud and embezzlement. I lost everything, money, reputation, my entire life." Anna's heart ached at the story. "You didn't deserve that." Frederick gave a bitter laugh. "Maybe not, but I learned a lesson: never trust too easily and always have a backup plan. That's why I've been wary of your board. Some of them are looking for a reason to replace you." Anna bit her lip. "I know. They think I'm just a placeholder, a young woman in over her head." He leaned forward, his gaze steady. "Then prove them wrong. Use your strengths, not just your father's legacy. They need to see you as your own leader, not just Richard Whitmore's daughter." Her pulse quickened at the intensity of his words. "You really believe I can do it?" Frederick smirked. "If you can convince a homeless man to be your husband and pull off a board meeting without breaking a sweat, you can handle this." For the first time in weeks, Anna laughed, a real, genuine laugh. Frederick joined in, and for a moment, the weight of their strange arrangement didn't feel so heavy. That night, as Anna lay in bed, she couldn't help but think about Frederick's story. Despite his guarded nature, he had shown her a glimpse of a man who had once been strong, confident, and successful. The pieces didn't quite fit together yet, but she sensed that there was so much more to him than he let on. And as the moonlight filtered through the window, she found herself wondering what it would take for him to trust her completely. The following week brought a series of small victories for Anna. The board seemed more receptive to her ideas, especially after the successful presentation of the revitalized marketing strategy. Mr. Harlan even acknowledged that her new approach showed promise. But not everyone was convinced. There were still whispers, board members who questioned whether Anna had the strength to keep the company afloat. Despite the progress, doubt lingered like a shadow. One evening, after a particularly exhausting day, Anna decided to take a break from strategizing. She wandered down the villa's hallway, passing Frederick's room. The door was slightly ajar, and she caught a glimpse of him at the desk, hunched over some papers. Curiosity got the best of her, and she pushed the door open gently. "You're working?" Frederick glanced up, his expression neutral. "Just scribbling. Helps me think." Anna moved closer and noticed the detailed diagrams and financial calculations on the page. They looked complex like business models. "What's this?" Frederick hesitated, then pushed the papers aside. "Just ideas. Force of habit." "Frederick," Anna said cautiously, "if you want to help more directly with the business, you can. Your suggestions have already made a difference." He shook his head. "It's your company. You need to lead it, not rely on me." Anna sighed, sensing his reluctance. "Why are you so determined to stay in the background? You clearly know what you're doing." Frederick's jaw tightened. "Because stepping up got me burned once. I lost everything because I trusted the wrong people. I'm not going to risk that again." Before Anna could respond, the doorbell rang. Marjorie announced that a visitor had arrived, a former business partner of Richard's, Mr. Lawson. In the living room, Mr. Lawson greeted Anna warmly. "I just wanted to check in, see how you're holding up. Your father was a remarkable man. He would be proud of how you're handling things." Anna smiled appreciatively. "Thank you. I'm doing my best." Lawson's gaze shifted to Frederick, who had entered the room quietly. His eyes narrowed slightly. "And you are?" "My husband," Anna said smoothly. "Frederick." Lawson extended his hand, though his expression remained skeptical. "Interesting. I didn't realize you were married." Frederick shook his hand, maintaining his calm demeanor. "It was a recent decision." Lawson turned back to Anna, lowering his voice. "You know, some of the board members are still uneasy about your leadership. They're worried that without your father's guidance, the company could lose its edge." Anna forced a polite smile. "I understand their concerns, but I'm committed to carrying on his legacy." After Lawson left, Anna felt her confidence waver. "Maybe they're right," she murmured. "Maybe I'm just pretending to know what I'm doing." Frederick stepped closer, his voice firm. "You're doing better than you think. The problem isn't your ability. It's their unwillingness to see beyond your father's shadow. You have to break their perception." "How?" Anna asked, frustration creeping into her tone. "By being decisive. They need to see that you're not just trying to preserve your father's legacy. You're creating your own path." That night, unable to sleep, Anna found herself in the study again, going over financial reports. Frederick joined her, pulling up a chair. "Have you ever considered diversifying the company's investments?" he asked, glancing at the documents. She looked at him, confused. "Diversifying? We're primarily in retail and real estate." Frederick leaned back, his gaze thoughtful. "That's the problem. You're too concentrated in sectors that depend on consumer trends. One downturn and the whole structure shakes. Your father kept it stable, but the market's changed. You need to branch out. Look at tech investments or sustainable projects. Something that balances risk." Anna frowned. The board wouldn't go for it. They're stuck in the old ways. Frederick's eyes glinted with a rare spark. "Then show them results first. Start small. Invest in a promising tech startup under the company's name. Once they see the returns, they'll follow your lead." She considered his words, realizing it made sense. "You really know your stuff," she admitted. Frederick smirked faintly. "I had to. When I ran the port business, diversification kept us afloat more than once. Anna glanced at him, curiosity bubbling up again. You never told me the whole story. How did you really lose it all? Frederick's expression darkened. It wasn't just sabotage. It was systematic destruction. They bribed my key employees, cut off my supply chains, and spread rumors about financial misconduct. By the time I realized what was happening, it was too late. My business partner, someone I trusted, was behind it all. He sold me out to a group of bandits who wanted control of the docks. Anna felt a pang of sympathy. That's horrible. Frederick nodded slowly. Trusting the wrong people cost me everything. I became a liability, so they pushed me out. The company folded, and I ended up with nothing. For the first time, Anna saw the raw hurt beneath his guarded exterior. Without thinking, she reached out and touched his hand. You're not a liability. Not anymore. You're helping me save my family's legacy. Frederick glanced at her hand on his expression softening. Maybe helping you is giving me back some purpose. They sat in the quiet room, both realizing that somewhere between strategy sessions and late-night talks, their strange partnership had started to feel like something more. The next morning, Anna presented the diversification idea to the board, framing it as a cautious, future-proof investment. Surprisingly, even Mr. Harlan seemed intrigued. Frederick's strategy had planted a seed of change, and Anna felt a renewed sense of control. As they left the meeting, Anna couldn't help but smile. You're more than just a contract husband, she whispered to Frederick. He glanced at her, his lips quirking into a rare smile. You're more than just a struggling heiress. And for the first time in weeks, Anna felt a surge of hope, not just for the business, but for the unexpected partnership she had stumbled into. The next few days were tense as Anna and Frederick executed their plan. They crafted a fake investment document, carefully designed to appear authentic but completely fabricated, and left it in a place where only board members would have access. To their surprise, it took less than 48 hours before the news reached a competing company, one notorious for aggressive takeovers. Anna couldn't believe it. Frederick, however, remained calm. It's Elliot, he said confidently. He must be the one leaking information to the bandits. Now we just need to confront him and gather enough proof so he can't deny it. That evening, Anna and Frederick discussed their next move over dinner. Anna couldn't hide her frustration. I trusted him. My father trusted him. How could he betray us like this? Frederick placed his hand on hers, a rare gesture of comfort. People who see loyalty as a transaction will always choose their own gain. Elliot probably saw your father's passing as an opportunity. Anna's eyes hardened. Then we make sure he knows he can't manipulate us. Let's set a trap and catch him red-handed. The next day, Anna invited Elliot to the villa under the guise of discussing a new project. Frederick set up a discreet recording device in the living room, ready to catch any incriminating admissions. When Elliot arrived, he seemed his usual self, calm, collected, and annoyingly charming. He greeted Anna with a warm smile. You've been making waves lately, Anna. The board's impressed with your strategic pivot. Anna played along, offering him a glass of wine. It's all thanks to Frederick. His insights have really opened my eyes to new possibilities. Elliot raised an eyebrow. Ah, yes. Your husband. Quite the surprise. Never took you for someone to rush into things. Anna forced a smile. Sometimes life surprises you. Like how quickly the new investment plan reached our competitors. Almost as if someone tipped them off. Elliot's expression didn't change, but his grip on the glass tightened. That's quite the accusation. Surely you don't think one of your own board members would do such a thing. Frederick, who had been listening from the hallway, entered the room casually. Funny thing about business, he said, his voice calm but pointed. People often underestimate how easily secrets slip through the cracks. Elliot stiffened, his gaze shifting between them. You seem rather paranoid, Frederick. Are you accusing me of something? Frederick smirked. We'll see soon enough. Integrity in business is everything. Something Anna's father believed in. He wouldn't want someone exploiting his legacy for personal gain. Elliot set his glass down with a little more force than necessary. You know nothing about this company. You're just a drifter Anna picked up, an outsider. Anna felt a surge of anger, but kept her voice steady. Maybe, but even outsiders can recognize betrayal. If you're not involved, why are you so defensive? Elliot opened his mouth to respond, but Frederick cut him off. You know, it's fascinating how the minute details of our fake project appeared in the competitor's proposal almost word for word. It's almost as if someone had direct access. A flicker of fear crossed Elliot's face before he forced a smile. If you're accusing me, you better have proof. Frederick gestured subtly, and Anna picked up her phone, playing the recording they had just captured. Elliot's voice came through clearly, scoffing about how new leadership was making the company vulnerable and how he had just secured a better deal with a competitor. Elliot's face went pale. You recorded me? This is entrapment. Anna stood tall, her tone icy. No, idiot. This is protecting my father's legacy from someone who would sell it out for personal gain. You'll be hearing from our lawyers and the police. As Elliot stammered excuses, Frederick calmly escorted him out, making sure he knew there was no escape from the consequences. Later, as they sat in the living room, the adrenaline slowly wearing off, Anna looked at Frederick with a mix of relief and gratitude. You did it. You exposed him. Frederick leaned back, looking more relaxed than he had in weeks. You did it, Anna. I just gave you the tools. You faced him head on. Anna couldn't help but smile. I couldn't have done it without you. Frederick met her gaze, his eyes softer than usual. You know, I came into this thinking I was just doing a job, getting by. But helping you, it feels like I'm building something again. Something real. They fell into a comfortable silence, both realizing that the partnership they had started out of desperation had grown into something neither expected. That night, as Frederick walked down the hall toward his room, Anna called after him. Frederick. He stopped and turned, his eyes reflecting the dim, warm light of the hallway. Stay, she said softly, her voice almost a whisper. Just stay here tonight. For a moment, he hesitated, as if weighing the unspoken invitation, but then he walked back to her. When he reached her, Anna didn't pull away. Instead, she took his hand, her fingers intertwining with his, and gently led him back into the living room. They sat close on the plush sofa, the city lights casting soft patterns on the floor. Their conversation started slow, sharing quiet words about the whirlwind of the past weeks. But there was a tension between them, something fragile yet undeniably magnetic. At one point, Frederick reached up to brush a stray lock of hair from Anna's face, his touch lingering. Her breath caught, and their eyes met, vulnerable, unguarded. A small, hesitant smile curved her lips, and before she could think, he leaned in, brushing his lips gently against hers. The kiss deepened, slow and unhurried, as if they were both trying to memorize the moment. The night stretched on, filled with whispered words and soft touches, neither of them wanting to break the spell. Hours later, the room was bathed in the soft, dim light that comes just before dawn. They lay entwined on the sofa, wrapped in the warmth of each other's presence. Frederick's fingers traced small, absent-minded patterns on Anna's shoulder, while she rested her head on his chest, listening to the steady rhythm of his heartbeat. In that quiet, intimate space, words felt unnecessary. They had crossed an unspoken boundary, and neither seemed eager to define what it meant. All they knew was that in that moment, nothing else mattered but each other. As the first faint sparks of sunlight threatened to pierce the horizon, Anna sighed contentedly, feeling safer than she had in weeks. Frederick tightened his embrace, and for a fleeting moment, it seemed like nothing could disrupt their newfound peace. But in the shadows outside, danger was already closing in. The faint light of dawn had just begun to creep into the living room when a sudden, jarring noise shattered the quiet. Anna stirred, still wrapped in Frederick's arms, her heart skipping a beat. Frederick was instantly alert, his body tensing. Then, Anna's phone buzzed on the coffee table. Still drowsy, she reached for it, but Frederick was faster. He picked it up, eyes narrowing as he read the notification. Data breach detected. Attempted remote access to Whitmore Enterprises financial server. Villa alarm triggered. Unauthorized entry detected. Frederick immediately pulled Anna upright. We're not alone. Just as he spoke, A loud crash came from the back of the villa. Frederick moved quickly, pulling Anna down behind the sofa. "They're here. Stay low." Peering cautiously around the edge, Frederick caught a glimpse of armed men moving through the hallway, their footsteps muffled but purposeful. One of them spoke into a radio. "Target located. Eliminate them quickly. Police ETA 5 minutes." Frederick glanced at Anna, his eyes fierce. "They want us dead. We need to move." They didn't have time to fully dress, just enough to throw on pants and bras before the noise of breaking glass sent their hearts racing. Barefoot and tense, they moved cautiously through the hallway, every sound amplified by their heightened senses. Carefully, Anna grabbed Frederick's hand and led him to the adjacent room, where she opened a drawer, revealing a small arsenal, several handguns, and a box of ammunition. "My father kept these here for emergencies," she whispered, her hands trembling slightly. Frederick quickly picked 2 handguns, loaded them, and handed one to Anna. "Take this. Stay behind me." Anna nodded, holding the weapon firmly. "I'm ready." They moved cautiously, but one of the intruders spotted them and shouted. A burst of gunfire followed, narrowly missing them as they ducked behind a marble column. Frederick fired back, hitting one of the attackers in the shoulder. The man went down, clutching his wound. Another assailant charged in, but Anna, summoning her courage, fired a warning shot that made him dive for cover. Frederick used the distraction to tackle the man, knocking him unconscious. "Go," Frederick urged, guiding Anna through the side door into the garage. As they reached the car, another gunman appeared, aiming directly at Anna. Frederick didn't hesitate. He fired twice, the man crumpling to the ground. As they sped out of the driveway, bullets pinged off the car's rear. Frederick floored the gas, weaving through the quiet, dark morning streets. Anna clutched his arm, her face pale but determined. "We have to warn the board," she said, "and call the police to secure the villa." Frederick nodded, his phone already dialing. "This is Frederick Sinclair. Armed men just attacked the Whitmore villa. Send units immediately. They're targeting Anna Whitmore." He hung up and looked at Anna. "Call the security at the office. Make sure they lock everything down." Anna dialed, her hands shaking slightly. "This is Anna Whitmore. Lock down the company offices immediately. No one leaves, especially Elliot Crane. Detain him until the police arrive." The head of security sounded bewildered. "Ma'am, Mr. Crane tried to leave just minutes ago. We stopped him at the exit." Anna's jaw tightened. "Good. Keep him there. He's behind the data breach and the attacks. The police are on their way." She immediately dialed Mr. Harlan, her voice tight but composed. "There's been a serious security breach. I need you to meet us at the boardroom right away. Something's happened, and it involves Elliot Crane." There was a pause. "What are you saying, Anna?" "I'm saying Elliot isn't just sabotaging the company. He's tied to the attack on me and Frederick tonight. We have evidence, and the police are involved." Within 20 minutes, Anna and Frederick, still partially dressed from their frantic escape, arrived at the company headquarters under heavy security escort. The night shift staff cleared the floor, and several board members, including a visibly shaken Mr. Harlan, arrived soon after. Elliot Crane, already held under watch by security, was seated at the far end of the boardroom table, trying to look calm. But sweat clung to his collar, and his usual smugness had vanished. Anna walked in with steady steps, Frederick at her side, both radiating resolve. She activated the projector and played security footage showing the intruders breaking into her villa, followed by a log of Elliot's attempted access to the company's secure server, timestamped within minutes of the breach. Mr. Harlan leaned forward, his eyes narrowing. "You're saying Elliot was coordinating the attack?" Frederick spoke coldly. "The access logs, the timing of his exit attempt, and the fact that the attackers knew exactly where to hit, it all points to him. He fed them everything." Elliot stood suddenly, voice shaky. "This is insane. You have no proof." "You'll speak to the police," Anna interrupted sharply, "and we'll see what the survivors of the ambush have to say." Security moved in to restrain him just as the doors opened again, and 2 officers entered to take Elliot into custody. As they sat in the boardroom, catching their breath, Anna's phone buzzed again. It was one of the police officers stationed at the villa. Ms. Whitmore, we've secured the property. One of the intruders is still alive, injured but conscious. He's willing to talk in exchange for a reduced sentence. Says he has information about the attack. Anna's eyes widened. Thank you. Keep him secure. We'll be in touch. She looked at Frederick, her voice urgent. One of the attackers is willing to talk. He wants a deal. Frederick's face hardened with determination. This is our chance. He approached the lead detective who had just escorted Elliot out. There's something you need to know, Frederick said, his tone serious. Years ago, I lost my port business to a coordinated attack. The gang behind it was ruthless, bribery, sabotage, and intimidation. I recognize some of the tactics used tonight. It's the same group. The detective looked intrigued. You think they're connected? Frederick nodded. I've kept quiet for years because I had no proof back then, just rumors and suspicions. But now that we have a captured intruder willing to talk, they might be able to link it to the same network. The detective listened carefully as Frederick described the key players from his past, the criminal group that sabotaged his logistics company. Back then, I was just a businessman trying to make an honest living. They destroyed my life because I wouldn't cooperate. I recognized the leader's name when I overheard one of the intruders. I believe they never stopped expanding their operations. The detective nodded, his expression grave. We'll cross-reference your information with our intel and interrogate the captured man. This might be bigger than just an attack on Whitmore Enterprises. The detective, along with the arrested Elliot and the information Frederick provided, immediately left with his colleagues to solve the case and prevent the criminals from escaping. Despite the early morning, the entire city was on alert, and all law enforcement agencies were aware of the incident. Frederick and Anna remained in the board office under guard for security purposes. As the detective departed, Anna leaned back in her chair, exhaustion finally setting in. Frederick moved closer, placing a comforting hand on her shoulder. It's out of our hands now. They'll take care of it. Anna nodded, her voice soft but steady. We did everything we could. Frederick gave her a reassuring smile. And that's enough. Let's just wait and see what the police find. It was late in the evening, and Anna and Frederick were still at the company offices, both dressed in temporary office clothes borrowed from the corporate storage. A simple blouse and trousers for Anna, a button-down shirt and slacks for Frederick. They looked somewhat out of place, but considering the morning's chaos, neither of them cared. The tension of the day had finally begun to ease when a police officer approached them. Ms. Whitmore, Mr. Sinclair, we've just received an update from the villa. The forensics team has completed their work, and we've returned the place to its original state. You're clear to go back. Anna let out a long, relieved breath. Thank you. Is it safe now? The officer nodded. Completely. We've restored everything as it was before the attack. Our team made sure to repair the damage as well. Frederick gave a curt nod. We appreciate your effort. We'll head back now. As they drove through the evening streets, the adrenaline of the past day finally seemed to drain from their bodies. Frederick glanced over at Anna, who was quietly staring out the window. You okay? He asked gently. She gave a small nod. I think I'm just processing. It all happened so fast. Frederick reached over, giving her hand a reassuring squeeze. We're safe. That's what matters. When they pulled up to the villa, it looked almost surreal, pristine, as if nothing had ever happened. Officers still lingered around the perimeter, but inside, everything was back in place. As they stepped in, Anna couldn't help but feel a wave of gratitude. One of the officers, a young detective, greeted them. We've left a few of our team members on site, just for added security tonight. But everything is restored. The damage to the walls and the broken glass have been fixed. Thank you, Anna said sincerely. As they walked through the villa, inspecting each room, Anna felt a strange sense of calm. The storm had passed. Frederick opened the door to the living room, and there it was, the sofa where they had spent that tender, quiet night. Despite everything, a soft smile touched her lips. Once they had just settled back in, Frederick's phone buzzed. It was the detective, Mr. Sinclair. The detective's voice sounded lighter than before. I wanted to inform you personally. Thanks to the valuable information you gave us, we were able to link the criminal group to other recent business attacks across the state. With the intel from the captured intruder and your testimony, the special forces were able to conduct a successful raid. The entire network has been apprehended. The leader and his main associates are in custody, and their illegal operations have been dismantled. Frederick exhaled a slow breath of relief. That's good to hear. I didn't think I'd ever see justice for what they did to my business. Thank you for keeping us updated. The detective's tone softened. We wouldn't have cracked it without you. Stay safe and take care of each other. Frederick hung up, his shoulders visibly relaxing. Anna, noticing his expression, approached him. What did they say? Frederick smiled faintly. It's over. The gang is completely dismantled. They raided the remaining hideouts and arrested everyone involved. The leader's in custody. A wave of relief washed over Anna. She wrapped her arms around Frederick, burying her face in his chest. It's really over, she whispered. He stroked her hair gently, his voice low and soothing. Yeah, we did it. They made their way to the balcony, the city lights twinkling in the distance. The air was cool, and Anna leaned into Frederick's side. I still can't believe how close we came to losing everything. Frederick kissed her forehead, his voice warm and reassuring. You fought back. You didn't give in to fear. That's what makes you strong. Anna looked up at him, her eyes reflecting a mix of gratitude and affection. I wouldn't have made it without you. He cupped her face gently, his thumb brushing her cheek. We're in this together, no matter what. As the night settled around them, Anna couldn't help but think that despite the chaos, they had emerged stronger, not just as business partners, but as something far more profound. Frederick tightened his hold on her, his voice barely above a whisper. I thought I'd lost everything when I ended up on that park bench. But meeting you made me realize that losing my old life gave me a chance to build something better. Anna smiled, her heart swelling with emotion. I thought I had to fight the world on my own. Turns out, the best thing I ever did was take a chance on a stranger. Frederick chuckled softly. Lucky for me, you did. A few days later, the board convened to officially recognize Anna's continued leadership. Mr. Harlan, who had once doubted her abilities, now expressed his full support, acknowledging her bravery and determination during the crisis. The vote was unanimous. Anna would continue as CEO, with the board's complete backing. Frederick, now officially acknowledged as her husband and trusted advisor, stood by her side. After the meeting, one of the senior board members approached him, squinting thoughtfully. You look familiar, the man said. Weren't you the guy who used to run that port business? Blackwood Shipping. Frederick nodded, a bit surprised. Yes, that was me. The board member smiled warmly. I remember you. Always ahead of the game. I'm glad to see you back on your feet. We could use someone with your insight around here. Frederick gave a modest nod. Thank you. It's good to be rebuilding. Back at the villa that evening, as they sat on the balcony once more, Anna couldn't help but tease him. So, you're a celebrity now? Frederick smirked. Just a washed-up businessman making a comeback. She playfully punched his shoulder. Don't say that. You're the reason we survived. You're more than just a comeback story. You're my partner. Frederick pulled her closer, resting his forehead against hers. And you're the reason I found my way back. You didn't just save the company. You saved me. They kissed softly, the warmth between them growing, no longer out of desperation or fear, but out of genuine love. As they stood together under the night sky, they knew that whatever challenges awaited, they would face them side by side, partners in business, in life, and in love.